Welcome to Trading Lessons from Legends. Here, we don't chase predictions. We don't worship charts. We listen to the patterns, to the psychology, to the echoes of those who walked this path before us. If you're here, it's not by accident. It means you're searching for something deeper, not another shortcut, but a mirror that reflects the truth behind every trade, the part of the market that lives inside you. This channel exists for people like you, the thinkers, the survivors, the restless minds who know that numbers alone don't tell the story. Here, we slow down, we question, we learn from the brilliance and the mistakes of those who came before. Because the greatest traders in history didn't just master the market, they mastered themselves. So if you're ready to look beyond profit and into purpose, if you're ready to face the lessons that cost them everything, then take a breath and listen closely. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about understanding the cost of knowledge and the freedom that follows. Now, let's begin. The first loss that changes every trader. Part I, the mirror breaks. You could feel the hum of Wall Street long before you reached it. The air itself seemed to vibrate a mixture of hope, greed, and the faint scent of fear. I remember it as if it were yesterday. Men in dark coats shouting prices into the golden haze of morning, paper flying like snow in sunlight. And somewhere amid that storm stood Jesse Livermore, the man who, for a moment in history, seemed to bend the market to his will. They called him the boy plunger. He could read a tape like a musician reads notes. Each line of numbers spoke to him, whispered secrets about the crowd's emotion, the rhythm of panic and euphoria. He once told me, "The market is never wrong, only opinions are." At that time, I believed him completely. He moved through chaos like he belonged to a tall, sharp, confident eyes that saw everything and trusted nothing. People followed him the way sailors follow a lighthouse. When Jesse Livermore bought, the street bought. When he sold, the street trembled. But markets are strange mirrors. They reflect you until the reflection fractures. They show you brilliance first, then they show you yourself. The first time Jesse lost big, no one saw it coming. He didn't shout, didn't rage. He simply stood there, looking at the ticker tape as if it had betrayed him. Prices were falling faster than the paper could print. His fortune, millions earned by instinct and nerve, was dissolving line by line. I watched his hand tighten around that little roll of paper. His knuckles went white. It wasn't money he was losing. It was certainty. That's what the first loss takes from you. Not capital. Certainty. You build an image of yourself disciplined, smart, almost prophetic. The market nods, rewards you, confirms the story you tell. Then one day, it changes its rhythm, and your story no longer fits. That's when you meet the truth that you never controlled it, that every tick, every candle, every chart was never a puzzle to solve, only a mirror to understand. Back then, I didn't see it. None of us did. We thought the loss was temporary, an interruption in genius. But what really broke that day wasn't his system. It was the illusion behind it, the belief that mastery could silence uncertainty. Livermore came back, of course. He always did. He made and lost fortunes like the tides. But that first loss, I saw something change in his eyes. Something subtle, the way a star dims just before dawn. He started to trade not the market, but the memory of being right. And that, my friend, is where every trader's tragedy begins. The crowd on the floor cheered when he recovered. They saw the comeback, not the scar. But I knew once the mirror breaks, it never reflects the same. It shows you cracks you can't unsee. And if you're wise, you learn to look through them instead of away from them. Every trader, sooner or later, faces that mirror. The first loss is the shatter. It's not a punishment. It's an initiation. You might think you're ready for it. You've read the books, built your plan, promised yourself discipline. But the market has a way of finding the exact spot where your confidence turns into pride. That's where it strikes. When the loss comes, and it will, you will feel two instincts fighting inside you. One says, get it back. The other whispers, learn. The first one screams louder. The second saves your career. Jesse once told me, long after that first collapse, the market will teach you humility. The tuition is expensive, but the lesson lasts a lifetime. He smiled when he said it, but his eyes didn't, because he knew humility is never learned in theory. It's learned when your beliefs collide with price. You may think your loss is unique. It isn't. It's ancient. Every chart, every strategy, every new generation walks into the same lesson wearing different clothes. They call it volatility, risk management, probability. But beneath all that math is the same emotional equation. Ego multiplied by hope, divided by uncertainty. The first loss reduces that equation to its essence. It strips away decoration and leaves you with one question. Can you face who you are when the market stops agreeing with you? I've seen men crumble after that moment, not because they went broke, but because they realized they were never in control. They couldn't live without the illusion. They'd rather lose more money than lose the feeling of power. You can spot them easily. Every decision becomes a negotiation with pain. They chase, double down, invent stories to avoid silence, because silence means facing themselves. Livermore faced that silence. That's what made him different. He stared into it long enough to see patterns most people never notice. But even he, the legend, could not conquer it completely. He lived in a world where success was worshipped and reflection was weakness. He played the game too long, and the mirror became his cage. If you want to survive this world, learn from him. The first loss is not the end. It is the first honest conversation between you and the market. It asks you, will you protect your ego or your capital? You can't protect both. When you answer ego, the market smiles and waits. When you answer capital, the market still smiles, but this time, it begins to respect you. That's the paradox. The moment you surrender control, you gain it. Not over price, never over price, but over reaction. And reaction is where all control lives. I remember standing beside Jesse during one of those early mornings after the crash. The exchange was quiet, almost holy in its emptiness. Dust hung in the air like forgotten confetti. He turned to me and said, "It's strange, isn't it? The tape looks the same whether you're rich or ruined." Then he smiled, not the smile of victory, but of understanding. That was the day he began trading differently. He stopped trying to predict. He started listening, not to the market, to himself. That's what the first loss should do for you. It should break the noise so you can finally hear your own mind. Most people never reach that silence. They fill it with news, opinions, indicators, anything to avoid the echo. But that echo, that's where truth hides. When the mirror breaks, don't rush to glue it back together. Look at the fragments. Each shard shows a piece of who you were, the believer, the gambler, the optimist. You'll see fear in one, greed in another, and in the smallest shard, maybe, humility. That one is worth keeping. You'll feel anger too. You'll blame the market, the broker, the timing. Let it pass, because behind anger is grief, and behind grief is learning. Grief means you cared, and caring means you're still human. The traders who never feel grief are the ones already lost. They've become algorithms in human form, chasing numbers with hollow eyes. Don't become one of them. Remember this: markets don't destroy people. People destroy themselves by refusing to adapt. Adaptation begins the moment you accept that you were wrong, not as a confession, but as a calibration. Every loss calibrates you. Every mistake, if faced properly, reduces noise and adds clarity. The first loss does it most violently, but also most effectively. Years later, I still see Livermore's shadow on that trading floor. Not the man who conquered markets, but the one who stood still when the mirror broke and dared to look. He didn't flinch. He didn't hide. He learned. That's why his story endures. Not because he made millions, but because he revealed the price of understanding. He paid it publicly so that others could pay less privately. So when your time comes, and it will, don't resist the breaking. Let it happen. Feel the sting. Watch the illusion crumble. Then breathe. Because what remains after the shatter is not weakness. It's truth. And truth, in trading as in life, is the only thing worth keeping. That's where your real education begins. Not in the books, not in the charts, not in the wins. It begins the first time you lose and stay. The first loss that changes every trader isn't the one that empties your account. It's the one that empties your pride. From there, you can finally see clearly. The mirror has broken, but now it reflects reality. And that's where we'll continue, in the next chapter, with the illusion that caused it all, the illusion of control. Part 2, pain, ego, And the illusion of control. You can always tell when a trader is losing. It's not in the numbers, it's in the eyes. A subtle panic hides behind calm gestures. The eyes dart too quickly, the jaw tightens, the breath shortens. You recognize it because you felt it yourself. The quiet terror of losing control. The market does not simply take your money. It takes your illusion of mastery. That's the real loss. The charts become wild, the logic bends, and you realize that your carefully built plan was just a map drawn over a moving sea. I watched Jesse wrestle with that sea. After his first collapse, he rebuilt himself through reason. He studied psychology, kept meticulous notes, refined systems. But even then, you could see it, the human pulse beneath the discipline. Every trader carries it, the heartbeat that says, I can control this. That heartbeat is the ego's drum, and the market loves to dance to it. 1. The need to be right. When you enter a trade, a small part of you believes you're predicting the future. That's the thrill, the seductive moment when conviction feels like certainty. But conviction and certainty are not the same. Conviction is human. Certainty is divine. And when a human tries to act divine, the market eventually reminds him he is not. You'll defend your position. You'll argue with price as if it owes you a conversation. And in doing so, you'll lose sight of what trading really is. Not a contest of intelligence, but a test of surrender. You cannot be both teacher and student of the market. One of you must listen. The wise trader learns to listen first, to price, to pattern, to emotion, and to his own resistance most of all. The first loss teaches that humility faster than any mentor. 2. The physiology of fear. There's science behind it, of course. When you see red on the screen, your brain floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your body reacts as if chased by a predator. You become faster, narrower, less rational. Your vision literally tunnels. The edges blur. That's why you move stops. That's why you average down. You're not strategizing, you're surviving. And survival has no patience for logic. The body screams, do something, but doing is rarely what's required. Sometimes, the bravest act is inaction, letting the market move without your intervention, letting reality unfold without your rescue. Livermore once told me, most traders die from overreaction, not from bad analysis. He was right. The first loss activates the oldest part of your brain. The trader's task is not to suppress it, but to notice it, to breathe through it until reason returns. That's why experienced traders look calm. It's not absence of emotion, it's presence of awareness. They still feel fear, but they've learned to observe it like a passing cloud instead of a thunderstorm. 3. The ego's bargain. The ego hates uncertainty. It will make any deal to remove it. It whispers, hold a little longer. It will come back. Or worse, add to the position, prove you're right. That's the ego's bargain. Short-term comfort in exchange for long-term destruction. You accept the bargain every time you trade to heal a wound instead of follow a rule. The illusion of control thrives on that bargain. You move a stop, shift a line, convince yourself that the market just needs time. In truth, it's you who needs time to let go. Letting go feels like defeat until you've lived long enough to see it as freedom. Jesse learned that late. He used to pace his office when a trade turned against him, muttering equations, convincing himself that he understood the rhythm better than others. But control is a mirage that vanishes when you reach for it. The market gives the appearance of logic only because you impose patterns on chaos. It's not random, but it's not yours either. So, the paradox of mastery. True mastery in trading is not control. It's compatibility. You don't dominate the market. You align with its rhythm. You don't force certainty. You cultivate probability. The irony is that the more you accept your lack of control, the more consistent you become. Why? Because consistency lives in process, not in prediction. A process is something you can repeat under uncertainty. Control is something you lose the moment uncertainty appears. Livermore's genius wasn't in forecasting. It was in observing his own reactions. He once said, I made money by sitting, not by thinking. What he meant was patience, the discipline to let both profits and losses unfold without interference. You can't stop the tide, but you can choose when to enter the water. That choice, when to engage, when to step back, is the only control that matters. 5. Pain as data. Pain is information. Every sting, every loss, every mistake carries a message. Most ignore it, drown it with revenge trades, or disguise it with justification. But if you treat pain as data, you turn emotion into feedback. Ask it, what is this loss showing me? Usually, it reveals an assumption that you knew, that you could predict, that you were owed. The market owes you nothing. It never did. It only mirrors back the assumptions you bring. When you start seeing pain as feedback, not failure, your growth accelerates. You stop bleeding in the same place twice. You develop scar tissue wisdom encoded in experience. That's how professionals are made. Not by avoiding pain, but by decoding it. 6. The Shadow of Livermore. You might think his story ended with fortune and tragedy, but that's only the headline. The truth is more human. He spent decades oscillating between control and surrender, between brilliance and despair. He wasn't a god of trading. He was a mirror of what markets do to the human soul. When I think of him now, I don't see the ticker tapes or the headlines. I see a man sitting alone in a hotel room. Charts spread before him, realizing that numbers no longer speak, that the silence inside him is louder than any market. That silence is the same one you'll face. It asks, who are you without the illusion of control? If you can answer that honestly, you've already won something far rarer than profit perspective. Sid, the mechanic and the pilot. Trading is like flying through turbulence. A novice clutches the controls, overcorrects, panics at every shake. A seasoned pilot knows the plane was built to handle it. He keeps steady hands, small adjustments, calm breathing. The sky hasn't changed, only the pilot's relationship to it. You are not the sky. You are the pilot. The plane is your process. Trust its engineering more than your impulse. Livermore's process worked because he respected turbulence. He sized positions small enough to survive chaos, large enough to matter when right. He didn't eliminate risk, he priced it. That's what control truly is in trading. The design of limits, not the denial of them. 8. Reclaiming control the right way. You can't control outcome. You can control exposure. You can't control volatility. You can control position size. You can't control opportunity. You can control discipline. These are the levers that actually move your future. Everything else is noise disguised as influence. When the illusion fades, most traders feel naked. They realize the market was never theirs to command. Good. That's the moment clarity begins. Clarity breeds calm. Calm breeds consistency. Consistency compounds. And compounded calm is what people mistake for genius. 9. The emotional audit. After each trade, win or lose, perform an emotional audit. Ask yourself, was this trade an active process or of pain relief? Did I follow my rule or my need to feel in control? What emotion was I trying to avoid? Write the answers. Don't judge them. Awareness doesn't require punishment, only honesty. Honesty reestablishes trust not with the market but with yourself. Once you trust yourself, you don't need the illusion of control anymore. You can function amid uncertainty with quiet confidence. CR, the lesson beneath the lesson. When you strip away the glamour, trading is a laboratory for self-knowledge. The market is just a screen. The real experiment happens inside you. Every click measures emotion. Every result measures discipline. Livermore's tragedy wasn't that he lost fortunes. It was that he learned the deepest truths too late to live them fully. But you have time. You can learn them now, without the same cost. The first loss breaks the mirror. The pain that follows reveals the hand holding it. The ego will try to rebuild the reflection exactly as before. Don't let it. Build a new one, clearer, smaller, more honest. When you finally accept that you never controlled the market, you discover something extraordinary. You no longer need to. You only need to navigate it with respect, not domination. That realization changes everything. You stop predicting and start preparing. You stop chasing and start observing. You stop needing to win every battle and start protecting your capacity to fight another day. That is what control truly means in this world, not power over outcome, but command over endurance. And when you reach that state, the market becomes quieter. Not because it changed, but because your noise disappeared. You begin to see the same charts differently, not as threats or promises, but as patterns of probability dancing within uncertainty. You trade smaller, but you think larger. You react slower, but you decide faster. You stop being a participant in chaos and become a witness to rhythm. That's where Livermore lived when he was at peace in the rhythm. For a brief time, he wasn't chasing control. He was aligned with motion. That's when he made his clearest, calmest profits, not because the market favored him, but because he stopped fighting it. The illusion of control is seductive because it feeds the ego, but the freedom from that illusion feeds the soul. Once you taste that freedom, you can never trade the same again. So the next time pain arrives, when the screen turns red, when fear tightens your chest, remember, this isn't the end of control. It's the beginning of real control. Control of mind, control of reaction, control of self. Because in the end, that's the only market that truly matters. Part 3. The market as a teacher. The market never calls itself a teacher, yet that's what it is. It doesn't hand out diplomas or applause. It teaches by repetition, by friction, by pain. Every tick is a whisper. Every drawdown a lesson plan. Most traders just never stay quiet long enough to hear it. You learned in your first loss that the market doesn't care about fairness. Now you begin to see that indifference is the very thing that makes it the best teacher you'll ever have. Because a market without empathy forces you to build your own. It demands maturity. It makes you responsible for your own reactions. No one escapes that curriculum. Even Livermore couldn't. He used to say, "The market has a voice. You just have to listen before it shouts." He learned that after ignoring too many whispers. The classroom of chaos. Picture the exchange floor again, the noise, the movement, the endless flood of numbers. That's the classroom. There are no chairs, no chalkboards, only feedback. When you get the answer wrong, it costs you money. When you get it right, it tempts your ego. Either way, you're being taught something. The first assignment the market gives you is uncertainty. It asks, can you make decisions without guarantees? Most can't. They crave certainty so badly they'll invent patterns to feel safe. They'll turn randomness into prophecy. They'll confuse correlation for causation because it's easier than admitting they don't know. But humility isn't weakness. It's tuition. You pay it every time you say, "I don't know, but I'll manage the risk anyway." That sentence, humble, rational, disciplined, is the trader's creed. The market smiles at those who can say it and mean it. Patterns and mirrors. Every chart is a psychological mirror. Support and resistance. Trends and ranges, they aren't just price behavior. They're collective emotion drawn as geometry. Greed forms breakouts. Fear forms pullbacks. Hope forms consolidations. Despair forms capitulation. When you study charts long enough, you realize you're studying people. And when you study people long enough, you realize you're studying yourself. Livermore understood this before psychology became a science. He watched how his own mood echoed through the tape. If he was impatient, he saw false breakouts everywhere. If he was fearful, every rally looked like a trap. He learned that objectivity is impossible without emotional distance. So he built routines. Silence before open, notes after close, long walks when volatility rose. He wasn't managing markets, he was managing himself. That's the real technical analysis, the analysis of your own triggers. 3. The lesson of repetition. The market repeats lessons until you learn them. Ignore them, and they grow louder. Break a rule once, pay a small fine. Break it again, pay interest. Break it a third time, pay principal and soul. This repetition is what frustrates beginners. They think progress means never repeating mistakes. It doesn't. Progress means repeating them with awareness, catching yourself 1 second earlier each time. Awareness shortens the lifespan of stupidity. Eventually, habit replaces reaction. That's learning. Livermore once said that markets are like seasons. They don't change to please you. They cycle. You can't demand spring and winter, but you can prepare for it. That's what process is: preparation for inevitable repetition. C. Lessons hidden in silence. Most traders study price action, few study inaction. But silence is where wisdom hides. There are days when the market whispers nothing new. Those are the days when doing nothing is the highest form of participation. Think of a pianist. Music isn't just the notes, it's the space between them. In trading, that space is patience. The pause between trades defines your rhythm more than any entry. The market rewards those who can rest without guilt. It punishes the restless with randomness. If you feel a constant need to act, you're not listening, you're performing. And performance belongs on stage, not on a trading screen. 5. Feedback without emotion. The beauty of the market's teaching style is its honesty. It never lies. It never flatters. It simply is. If your strategy works, you'll see it. If it fails, you'll see that too. The problem is not the feedback. It's the emotion you attach to it. A mature trader reads feedback the way a scientist reads data: detached, curious, analytical. Livermore used to grade his trades like exams. Each had notes, setup, reasoning, emotion, result. He didn't label them good or bad. He labeled them followed rules or broke rules. That binary mindset stripped emotion out of feedback. He understood that emotion is a terrible grading system. Try it. Next time you close a trade, resist the words win and loss. Replace them with executed or violated. That shift rewires your brain. You stop chasing approval and start pursuing precision. 6. The humility of probability. Eventually, the market teaches its hardest math lesson. Everything is probability. You can do everything right and still lose. You can do everything wrong and still win. That paradox drives most people insane. But if you stay long enough, it becomes your peace. Because once you internalize probability, you stop taking outcomes personally. A loss no longer attacks your identity. A win no longer inflates it. You become steady, not emotionless, but emotionally calibrated. That's when trading turns from gambling into craftsmanship. A craftsman doesn't guarantee perfection. He guarantees process. His pride comes from consistency, not outcome. Probability humbles arrogance and dignifies patience. It's the grammar of survival. C. The tuition of pain. There's an old saying on the street. The market charges tuition. Some pay it early, some pay it late. But everyone pays. Pain is the currency. You can try to skip class, but the bill finds you eventually. Each drawdown, each sleepless night, each small embarrassment of being wrong, they're tuition receipts. You trade them for wisdom. It's an expensive education because the lessons stick. Nothing sears knowledge deeper than the memory of pain survived. But unlike most teachers, the market never expels you. It waits. It allows retakes. Every session is a new test, same subject, yourself. 8. The language of respect. You learn to speak respectfully to the market, not with words, but with behavior. Respect shows in risk size, in stops placed before entry, in patience between trades. Disrespect shows in impulsive size, in revenge trading, in the sentence, just one more. Respect isn't fear. It's recognition, the understanding that the market owes you nothing, yet gives you everything you need to learn. Livermore's respect grew after every crash. He treated losses as correspondence from the market, each envelope sealed with truth. He'd open them slowly, extract the message, archive it. That's why even after ruin, he could rebuild. Respect preserves resilience. 9. Teaching beyond money. At some point, the market stops teaching about money. It starts teaching about you. It asks, how do you handle boredom? How do you respond to uncertainty? Can you hold patience without calling it paralysis? Can you hold conviction without calling it arrogance? These are philosophical questions disguised as financial ones. And if you answer them well, the money tends to follow, not as reward, but as reflection. Trading becomes a meditation on self-awareness. Your balance sheet turns into a biography. Every equity curve is a confession. SER, the transformation. When the market finally breaks you down enough times, something remarkable happens. You stop resisting the lessons. You start cooperating with them. You notice small things. How you breathe before entries. How you rush when excited. How you freeze when uncertain. You begin to treat your mind like an instrument, tuning, not judging. Livermore called it developing feel. But feel isn't intuition. It's familiarity with yourself under stress. It's the confidence that comes from surviving mistakes and recording why. Eventually, the market's lessons expand beyond trading hours. You find yourself calmer in traffic, patient in conversation, slower to anger. Because once you've faced chaos on a global screen, everyday chaos loses its sting. The market trains temperament that seeps into life. 11. The teacher's final test. Every teacher gives a final exam. The market's exam is simple. Can you remain disciplined when nothing is working? Most fail here. They abandon systems in drawdown, switch methods, chase noise. But the exam isn't about performance, it's about endurance. Can you trust your process through boredom, frustration, and doubt? If you can, you pass. Not because you earned profit, but because you earned peace. Peace with uncertainty. Peace with imperfection. That peace is the diploma every trader secretly seeks. Sir, gratitude for the pain. Strangely, gratitude appears at the end of this education. You find yourself thankful for the losses, the fear, the long nights, because without them, you would still be blind. Pain gave you sight. Mistakes gave you humility. Humility gave you growth. You look back at your younger self, the one chasing control, and you almost smile. You see how necessary that ignorance was. No one arrives wise. Wisdom is burned into you by friction. The market, ruthless as it seems, was never your enemy. It was the mirror you needed to meet yourself. When I think of Livermore now, I imagine him not as a trader, but as a student who never stopped learning, even when the tuition broke him. He once told me, "The market will keep teaching until you learn to listen without needing to be right." That's the secret most never hear, because by the time they could, they've already left the classroom. So stay, listen, let the market teach you, not how to make money, but how to become the kind of person who can handle it. That's the curriculum, that's the art, and that's where our next chapter begins, the rebuilding. Part 4, the rebuilding. The market breaks you quietly. It never announces the moment. You simply wake up one day and realize the rhythm that once obeyed you no longer responds. Your confidence lies in ruins, scattered among charts and screenshots, like fragments of a language you used to speak. This is where most people stop, but this is where the real traders begin. Because rebuilding is not about recovery. It's about reconstruction. You do not return to who you were, you assemble someone new from the pieces that survived. 1. The stillness after the storm. After a crash, the noise dies. Your screens are silent, your phone stops buzzing, your ego hides. At first, the quiet feels unbearable, but it is in that silence that healing begins. Livermore used to disappear after every major loss. He would vanish from the street, no offices, no interviews, just long walks through Central Park at dawn. People said he was hiding in shame. He wasn't. He was rebuilding in silence. He told me once, "You can't rebuild with the same noise that broke you." He was right. Stillness is not absence of work. It is preparation for clarity. 2. Relearning the foundation. When you rebuild, you return to the basics, not to memorize them, but to understand them differently. Risk, position size, expectancy, discipline, words you thought you knew now feel new again. You begin asking smaller questions. How much can I really lose before emotion takes control? What position size allows me to sleep? How many consecutive losses can I withstand before logic fades? These aren't mathematical questions. They're psychological ones dressed in numbers. The rebuilding trader learns that math and mind are inseparable. Each formula is only as stable as the emotions applying it. Livermore once redrew his entire system after a massive drawdown. He didn't change indicators, he changed assumptions. He stopped designing to win and started designing not to self-destruct. That shift is the birth of professionalism. 3. The architecture of process. A process is scaffolding around chaos. It doesn't guarantee perfection. It guarantees survival. You start with structure. Define risk per trade. Write your exit before entry. Decide when not to trade. Review every action with brutal honesty. Then you build habits around that structure. Rituals, routines, small predictable actions that make you dependable when markets are not. Morning checklists, midday pauses, evening journals, not glamorous, but sacred. Each routine adds a brick to the new version of you. Without them, you rebuild on sand. 4. The emotional blueprint. Rebuilding is emotional architecture. You learn to identify stress before it hijacks thought. You learn the difference between intuition and impulse. You begin to separate the voice of reason from the echo of fear. Write down your triggers. List them like coordinates on a map. Overtrading after small wins. Revenge trading after public losses. Avoiding screens after embarrassment. Then design counter rituals. If loss, walk 10 minutes. If win, pause before next trade. Structure converts emotion into action. That's how discipline feels when rebuilt. Not rigid, but rhythmic. 5. The data of the soul. Every spreadsheet hides a diary. Behind every number is a decision. And behind every decision is a state of mind. When you rebuild, you start reading data like scripture. You notice patterns in your mistakes. You see that the biggest losses don't come from the worst setups, but from the worst moods. You learn that trading performance follows emotional capital more than financial capital. So you start tracking energy as carefully as equity. Sleep, focus, mood, each becomes a metric, because when the mind depletes, strategy collapses. Livermore wrote his trades by hand, line after line, not for memory but for reflection. He said, "If you don't write it, you don't really know what happened." Writing turns chaos into clarity. It slows the storm long enough for wisdom to land. 6. The humility of smallness. When you rebuild, you trade smaller, not out of fear, but out of respect. Small size is humility in action. It's your way of telling the market, "I'm listening again." Small trades rebuild trust. Each disciplined exit repairs a fracture of confidence. Profit becomes secondary. Integrity becomes primary. Humility is not weakness, it's precision. It aligns you with truth. You no longer need to prove strength. You demonstrate understanding. 7. Learning to rest. The new trader you're becoming learns something the old one never valued: rest. Not laziness, but strategic recovery. Because fatigue is invisible leverage, it magnifies every flaw. The market will always offer another opportunity. Your mind may not. Protect it. Sleep as seriously as you backtest. A rested brain sees patterns a tired one invents. Livermore learned this the hardest way, collapsing from exhaustion in the middle of a bull run. He realized too late that you can't outtrade biology. Neither can you. 8. Rebuilding relationships. Loss isolates. People disappear when the glow of success fades. Rebuilding means rediscovering connection: mentors, peers, even family. Share your story honestly. Tell them you lost not only money, but illusion. You'll be surprised how many nod quietly. Everyone has their version of the first loss. Connection anchors you to perspective. It reminds you that trading is what you do, not who you are. That separation is sanity. 9. The philosophy of enough. When you rebuild, ambition changes shape. You stop chasing more and start defining enough. Enough capital to live freely. Enough risk to stay engaged. Enough rest to stay human. Enough is the invisible ceiling that keeps you safe. Livermore never found his. He always pushed higher until structure collapsed under ambition. You don't need to repeat that. Define it early. Write it somewhere you can see. Because in markets, enough is profit. Too much is punishment. 10. The return of confidence. Confidence after destruction feels different. It's quieter, less like fire, more like gravity. You no longer announce your opinions. You observe them. You no longer need the crowd's validation. You seek its absence. You stop trying to predict and start preparing. This confidence comes from data and discipline, not adrenaline. It's built through repetition, not euphoria. The paradox of rebuilding is that you finally achieve what you sought all along: control, but of a different kind. Not control over price, but control over self. Cherie, the integration. As weeks turn into months, the fragments of the old trader merge with the wisdom of the new. You realize the loss didn't destroy you. It carved you into shape. Now the mirror reflects someone more precise, more patient, more alive. You start to sense rhythm again, not as prediction, but as harmony. You're not fighting the market. You're moving with it. You feel it breathe, expand, contract, rest. You learn to exhale when it does. This is integration, the merging of knowledge and emotion into instinct. It's where trading becomes art. 12. The mentor within. When you rebuild properly, you create a mentor inside yourself. You begin to hear your own wiser voice, calm, objective, forgiving. It's the echo of every mistake you processed honestly. That inner mentor doesn't shout. It reminds. Before each trade, it whispers, "Stay small. Wait, breathe. After each trade, it asks, did you follow process? No praise, no blame, just awareness. That voice is the true reward of rebuilding. It's the only teacher that never leaves. 13. The discipline of gratitude. Every morning you return to the screen. Pause a second before the first click. Whisper thank you. Thank you for another chance to learn, to practice, to refine. Gratitude anchors you to patience. It turns trading from battle to dialogue. The market doesn't owe you that dialogue. It can take it away at any moment. Knowing that keeps you gentle. Gentleness is underrated in finance, but it's the heart of longevity. 14. Signs of real progress. How do you know you're rebuilding right? When you stop counting consecutive wins and start counting consecutive disciplined decisions. When red days sting but don't surprise you. When silence no longer scares you. When peace feels more valuable than excitement. That's progress invisible, internal, irreversible. 15. The return to the floor. Eventually you walk back into the world that once broke you. Same screens, same tickers, same chaos, but you are not the same. You notice how loud it all is, how desperate the crowd looks. You smile quietly, because you remember being one of them. And then, calmly, you sit. You wait. You trade small, deliberate, patient. No drama, no declarations. Just rhythm. The floor hasn't changed. Only your relationship to it has. That's rebuilding. 16. The legacy of resilience. Rebuilding is not glamorous. No one writes headlines about patience. But endurance is the foundation of every legend. Livermore's legacy isn't his fortune or his fall. It's his capacity to rebuild after both. He showed that genius means nothing without resilience. You honor him not by copying his trades, but by mastering your recoveries. Every time you stand up after a setback, you continue the lineage of those who learned through fire. That lineage is sacred, written not in profits, but in perseverance. 17. Preparing for the next cycle. Because make no mistake, the cycle will return. Markets rise, fall, seduce, and punish. There will be another loss, another mirror breaking. But this time, you'll recognize the sound. You'll breathe differently. You'll adjust faster. You'll lose smaller. And within minutes, you'll find yourself already rebuilding. That's evolution disguised as routine. 18. The quiet reward. Rebuilding gives you something money never could: equanimity. The ability to stand inside chaos and remain centered. The ability to watch uncertainty unfold without losing identity. That is the trader's enlightenment. To see through illusion, accept impermanence, and act precisely anyway. You don't become fearless, you become fluent. You speak the language of loss without translation. And once you're fluent in loss, profit finally speaks clearly. 19. The closing thought. The rebuilding never truly ends. Each trade rewrites you a little more. Each loss re-etches humility. Each win tests it. But now you know the process. You know how to fall, how to rest, how to rise. You know that strength is repetition of recovery. When the next storm comes, you won't pray for calm seas. You'll adjust your sails, because that's what the market taught you. And that's what Livermore's story was always about. Not the crash, but the climb that followed. The rebuilding is not revenge. It's rebirth. Part V. The rebirth of the trader. Rebirth never looks like victory. It looks like calm. After the noise, the charts, the sleepless nights, what's left is silence. And within that silence, awareness. That's where the new trader is born. Not in the heat of a win, but in the cool of reflection. Not in triumph, but in understanding. You emerge from loss, not as the same person who entered it. The ego that once demanded certainty has been scraped down to something smaller, lighter, truer. You no longer chase the market. You accompany it. 1. The weight that falls away. At first, it feels strange to trade without tension. You wait for the usual spike of adrenaline, but it doesn't come. The absence of drama feels like emptiness, until you realize it's peace. You start to see clearly again. Charts look cleaner, setup simpler. Noise effaces. You act less, observe more. The need to be right dissolves into the need to last. This is not indifference. It's maturity, the quiet strength that comes from surviving volatility without losing yourself. 2. The return of vision. When the fog of ego lifts, vision returns. Not the fantasy of predicting every move, but the clarity of reading rhythm. You sense momentum the way a sailor senses wind, invisible yet undeniable. You adjust, not out of fear, but respect. Livermore once said, "The market is a living thing. You can't force it. You dance with it." He understood that flow is not about control. It's about cooperation. Rebirth gives you that feel. You stop forcing trades and start allowing them. You stop chasing opportunity and start attracting it through patience. You no longer hunt profits. You cultivate them. 3. Confidence without ego. Confidence used to be loud, a declaration. Now it's silent, a state of being. You know what you can do and, more importantly, what you can't. You've made peace with imperfection. You accept that wrongness is part of rightness, that losing well is half of winning. This quiet confidence unsettles the crowd. They'll ask what you're trading, how you're so calm. You'll smile and answer, "Mostly myself," because that's the truth. Every trade is still risk, but it's no longer a threat. Risk has become an ally, the boundary that keeps you honest. 4. The rhythm of detachment. You learn to detach without disconnecting. You feel emotion without obeying it. That balance is mastery. Detachment is not numbness. It's perspective. It's the ability to see a red candle and think, data, not disaster. It's the ability to see a green one and think, confirmation, not celebration. This rhythm keeps you aligned. You exit when your plan says so, not when comfort says so. You enter because probability invites you, not because boredom tempts you. Your discipline becomes elegance, quiet, graceful, efficient. 5. The integration of life. Eventually, the lessons spill beyond the market. You notice it while driving, talking, breathing. You listen better. You rush less. You find yourself patient with things that once enraged you. Because trading has rewired your nervous system for uncertainty. You've practiced calm in chaos so many times that everyday life feels simpler. The same principles apply. Define risk. Wait for setup. Act with clarity. Let go of outcome. The market trained your soul in ways no philosophy class ever could. 6. The meaning of freedom. Freedom used to mean money. Now it means mastery of mind. You realize the purpose of trading was never wealth alone. It was transformation, a spiritual discipline disguised as a financial pursuit. You're free not because you can buy anything, but because nothing can buy your peace. That's the irony. When you stop needing money to prove worth, you start earning it more consistently. Markets reward alignment, not desperation. See, the second mirror. Remember the first mirror, the one that shattered with your first loss? Now, years later, you face a second mirror. This one doesn't reflect illusions. It reflects truth. You look into it and see someone who knows limitation yet moves with confidence. Someone who fears but acts anyway. Someone who understands that mastery is maintenance. The second mirror is whole because you built it yourself, piece by piece, trade by trade, mistake by mistake. You don't hide the cracks. You polish them. They catch the light differently, they shine. 8. The legacy of understanding. Livermore never lived long enough to share this final stage openly, but I believe he reached glimpses of it, moments when he traded not for gain, but for grace. You can feel it reading his notes. A man finally learning to forgive himself for being human. His story reminds you that brilliance without peace is torment. The market can make you rich, but only wisdom keeps you sane. Your legacy won't be a fortune. It will be composure, the calm that others notice, but can't explain. That calm will ripple beyond you, into those who learn from your steadiness. That's how trading knowledge truly compounds. 2. The invisible companions. If you listen carefully, you'll sense them. The silent fraternity of traders across generations, who endured their first losses and rebuilt. They sit beside you in spirit every time you hesitate, every time you breathe through fear. Livermore is there. So is every trader who faced the abyss and stepped back stronger. Their experiences whisper through the tape. Be patient, be precise, be kind to yourself. You're part of that lineage now, a continuation of those who learn to see through illusion. 10. The end of chasing. Rebirth ends the chase. No more just one more trade. No more proving worth through numbers. You don't measure progress by profit, but by peace between trades. You begin to enjoy the process again, the quiet observation of cause and effect, the satisfaction of execution done right, the artistry of timing. Every click becomes deliberate, every exit graceful, every session a meditation. You've moved from ambition to appreciation. That's evolution. 11. Teaching the next. At some point, a younger trader will come to you full of hope and arrogance, burning with the same fire you once carried. You'll see yourself in his eyes. You'll want to warn him, but you'll remember how warnings never work. So instead, you'll tell him a story. Maybe about Jesse Livermore. Maybe about your first loss. Maybe about the mirror that broke and the lessons that followed. And if he listens closely, maybe he'll hear what you finally understand, that the market's cruelty is actually compassion in disguise, because it only breaks illusions, never truth. 12. The shape of wisdom. Wisdom doesn't look heroic. It looks ordinary. It trades small, speaks softly, and knows when to stop. The wisest traders leave no drama behind, only quiet longevity. Their charts tell stories of patience, not prediction. Their accounts grow like trees, not rockets. Wisdom accepts impermanence. It knows that trends end, systems decay, edges fade, but character endure. That's what you rebuild every day. Not equity, but character. 13. The final conversation. Someday you'll close your screens at sunset, the glow fading across the desk where you once fought so many battles. You'll think back to that first loss, the one that hurt so much you almost quit, and you'll whisper, "Thank you." Because without it, you'd still be asleep inside your own illusion. Because of it, you woke up. That's the real profit awakening. You'll realize that the market was never testing your intelligence. It was testing your honesty. Could you admit what you didn't know? Could you accept what you couldn't control? Those questions forged you, and now, sitting in the quiet glow, you know the answers. 14. Full circle. You've come full circle, from innocence to arrogance, from arrogance to loss, from loss to learning, from learning to peace. The circle doesn't close. It expands. Each turn adds depth. Each drawdown, a chapter. Each recovery, a rebirth. That's the infinite curriculum of trading, the endless dialogue between knowledge and humility. Livermore's story was one turn of that circle. Yours is another. And through them all, the same truth echoes. The market is a mirror, and every reflection is temporary. 15. Epilogue. What remains? When all the numbers fade, when technology evolves and names are forgotten, one lesson remains. You don't trade markets. You trade your relationship with uncertainty. The first loss introduced you to yourself. The following years taught you to live with that self, to refine it, to respect it, to forgive it. And now, as you sit in this calm, you finally understand what Livermore's legacy truly was. Not wealth, not fame, not tragedy. It was awareness. Awareness that the market doesn't just reflect your skills, it reflects your soul. And when that reflection steadies, when your mind and the market move together without resistance, you've arrived not at the end, but at equilibrium. That's rebirth. A quieter, wiser, freer version of the trader who once believed he could control everything. Now you know you don't need to. You just need to stay present, stay patient, stay honest. Because in the end, that's what trading and living have always been about. And that brings us to the end of today's story. Every rise, every fall, every quiet moment between the two isn't just a market cycle. It's a reflection of who we are and what we're still learning to become. If you've stayed until now, it means you're not just here for profit. You're here for truth. And that makes you different. That makes you part of this circle. Here, we don't rush the lessons. We live them. We question them. And we carry them into the next trade and into the next version of ourselves. So if this story gave you something to think about, a moment of calm, or a clearer way to see the market, then I'm grateful you were here. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep walking. Because every story in this channel is another step toward understanding yourself through the market. Until next time, trade with patience, live with awareness, and remember, the market still speaks for those who know how to listen.